Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute, and we're coming to you live from Bishop, California. Woohoo! Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nistu Nidaniko Makoyo Sukoyi. As you know, that means the Milky Way. It means also the Wolf Trail. It also means the Medicine Trail. And I'm excited. I'm just sitting with 100 people who do behavioral health, healing the healers at Toyabe. And we're on lunch break, so I'm just coming to you. People are getting us some lunch. We came into town, and I just want a shout out to Tasba. Thank you, Tasba. Thank you, Tasba. She made arrangements. Actually, she took us, but she's working. She's writing. She's doing movies and film. Ever since long time ago, she wrote poetry. Long time ago, Tasba. She's just so creative. You guys know her from directing Reservation Dogs. Woohoo! Reservation Dogs. Tasba. Anyway, Shailene and I, my niece, we've got about 100 behavioral health people, and we've just been doing intense learning through storytelling. So I'm just coming to you fresh. Pat came and said a prayer. He asked for a smudge, and we had brought a clapper that had been made by a 14-year-old. So woohoo! Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. We come to you live every day for, 6 years now, since 2020, Native Wellness Institute. So I wanted to come to you today, and I wanted to talk about healing the healers. Healing the healers. And since I have not healed at all, I have never gotten sober, since I've never gone to therapy, since I never sat in the rooms, the 12-step rooms, Shoot, I've been in those rooms more than I've been on earth. Woohoo! So welcome to Native Wellness Institute. So today we're just coming to you live, and as we were just mounting, we're doing some games to uplift us. So when we come to you, it's a positive, productive, and proactive. And the beautiful thing about Native Wellness Institute is that everything we do, it's under the umbrella of keeping our teachings of our ancestors alive. So anything that falls under that umbrella of keeping the teachings of the ancestors alive, we do. So that's kind of I'll just have to say, this week, we've got 6 trainings going on. There's one going on in Canada. Dwight and Aurora and Jean are in Hoopa. Casey Nicholson and Lori are in Colville. And here we are in Bishop, and there's a couple others going on. And right now I'm just I'm full of good energy. Shailene, she beaded me. Look at these earrings. Looks like fish skin. She made these for me, a few years back. And I wore them today. My Aboriginal buddies, they gave me this ask for consent button. I decided to wear it today because we're in a state, California is really healing from sexual assault and rape in the Indians here. And you should always always ask for consent. And then we were at a training in Portland, and someone gave me this. It says, Adidas Badass Auntie. Woohoo! So I'm feeling and I was just telling the group, I grew up in Oakland, so I got like rhythm. Because some people ain't got no rhythm. Some people ain't got no rhythm. But today, I feel like I got rhythm. And thank you, Tasba. She took us to the artesian water, and we got to put our feet in. And then I think we might go out. We might go out there and get in that water. But no matter this healing the healers, I was just, when Pat was speaking, he took a while, but in his storytelling, he was in Vietnam. And this morning I married a man. I recognized my trauma bonds in relationship, and trauma bonds in my tribe, and trauma bonds in my family. And we're always attracted to people who have similar traumas. And so some people call it love at first sight, or some people call it, different kinds of, our chemistry is good, or, I like their vibe, or, look at how that one be looking. No. Anyway, I woke up this morning and I was thinking about Manuel Ramos from Pine Ridge, South Dakota. And we met in 1982. He's not on the earth anymore, and I was thinking of him because he left the earth 2 years ago. But I was thinking, I just wanted to say, it's Jabatapi, the 3 sons that they're not my sons. May they have a long, healthy life. I just started, and I know his mother, his father, that they're on the other side. And the other, he may have a couple of siblings. I just started praying for his family and thanking him for teaching me so much about relationships, even though he's not here on this. Look, we even got married and got divorced, but I knew his pride, so I let him file for the divorce. At Pine Ridge, because it's that when they're still in that trauma, they want the last hit. They want to get you. And I had Sundance 4 years with forgiveness in that relationship. So I never want to hard hit him. So anyway, we got divorced, married in 1992 and got divorced, started in 1993. Because once we lived with each other, and so that healing the healers, when you meet someone that's a healer, start asking them about their relationships. If they're male, female, LGBTQ, Two-Spirit, ask them about their relationships. And be cautious if they have no long-term relationships. Be cautious if, they, and I never want to pass judgment because, one of our Sixaketipi, our Blackfoot elders, and I always think about this. He said, we used to have several wives or several husbands, and I know Natuapi Saki, Carol Murray, and I were visiting about Two Bear Woman, and that she may have had 5 or 6 husbands. And this elder said it didn't become a sin until outside organized religion came from Europe. So just think about that. I'm not saying these are right or wrong, but just say, and then think about the relationships in your life. If you've only had one relationship, it's kind of, and of course I always think about the humor, if whatever you prefer, and it's what you prefer, have you do you prefer vaginas? Because I was thinking in Reservation Dogs, I got to tease Tasma if I get to see her again. I should have wore it today. I still have the papaya, the beaded papaya with the beaded clit. That was on Reservation Dogs because it has good medicine. It has healing medicine. But if you prefer penises, if you prefer, whatever your preference is just to say, what part did that play in your relationships? What part did that play in your relationships? Because if the attraction is just for that part, say it's for, your healthy sexuality and it's hormonal, there's much more, and ask this of the healers, and I've been pondering that because I don't know all the answers, but I'm going to share some stories with you. And the first story I'm going to share with you, and it's pretty, it made me want to cry because it's when we go back home, I have 65 first cousins, and it touched me so. Him and his wife have been together 50 years. And his daughter and his family, it's going to be a family reunion of all the Bull Shoes, of all the Williamsons. And I can go out with the names, but they've been married 50 years. And yesterday I was like sending a prayer to him. Daryl Joe, because Daryl Joe he was born a few years before me, so we grew up as like brother and sister. We were always fighting over Aunt Carol, Errol Topknot, Carol, Cooper, Carol Bullshoe, but when she married, we used to call him Uncle Buckwheat, Celestis. When she married him, she became Errol Topknot, and now they just go by Errol Top. So here was me and Daryl Joe, and I was how much I love him because he's going to be married 50 years into another Heartbeat family, and that we're related to those. I'm related to it's kinship, and this vulnerability. And I was thinking about, man, my hat's off to them. To be married and to go through, to have their children. And I love their children. Amanda, I love Snoop. And now their children have children and their children have children. So now I'm going, like right now, congratulations to Browning High School. There's over 90 of my relatives are graduating this afternoon. Amber Williamson is picking up my mom at 2:00. Which is just it's 12:19 here, so it's 1:19 pretty soon. And 90 of our relatives, and I'm related to all of them. Because, there was only 600 of us that was on the ration rolls at Amskapi Pikani in 1907 to 1908. So we come from those 600. So what happens in our tribe is we try not to marry our first cousins, and that has happened. We've had children, first cousin. We try not to marry second cousins. We try not to marry third cousins. And now it's kind of being okay with fourth cousins. And I was thinking about that because my parents were a last of an arranged marriage, if we're going to talk about relationships. But they had to get permission from Father Malman so that they weren't too close. But, today, if you're going to have a relationship and it's a romantic relationship, you should get permission from those who love you. You should get permission from your elders around you. You should get permission from your parents, and you should get permission from your best friends. You know why? Because they love you so much, and they know what you need, or they know what will help you grow. Now that's a tough one, because some of us just go off and get, just make a baby, and next thing we're in a relationship, right? That's why we have all this co-parenting right now. They ain't together no more, but we have alternatives for beautiful ways to raise children, with a village to raise the child. And so this healing the healers in here, I just love it because there's one doctor, he has this white coat on, but I really like him. His energy is good. And we were doing games and we with each other where we only had 30 seconds, a 30-second game, to say, if we had $1 million and we had to give it away in 24 hours and none of it on ourselves. I love that doctor because he kept me to the rules because, the way my mind works is I didn't want to have control of that money because once greed comes in and money's a heavy burden, I wanted to get elders and leaders that our community sees as leaders and have them determine how the money should go out into our community. But I wanted to keep a small amount for some salary for myself because I'm 70. And I've been, it's an ask. I would like someone just to pay my salary and just let me go out and do healing. But right now I keep this day job. And part of my day job is the give. It's the give back. I come to you with Wellness Wednesday no matter what I'm doing, and right now, I'm just we get an hour break and we're back in there. We're in here for 3 days because all of these dedicated, and it's a moral issue, it's an ethical issue, it's a cultural issue. They want to learn wellness in the workplace. So they're all in there. And they want this workplace, and we get this first group. I thought there was about 100 because we could barely fit in that room. And then tomorrow we get the other half because they can't leave the whole clinic and the whole structure of mind, body, and spirit, especially the physical health, the type 2 diabetes. They can't leave the patient. So we get this group, this half today, another half, and then we get another group on Friday. And Shailene and I were prepping yesterday. We always talk about what's our favorite thing to do, how we want to lead the group, how we want to. And so this healing the healers. This morning it came up, and Pat, who was saying the prayer, one of the stories that he was emphasizing was that we don't know other people's story unless we take the time to visit with them. Unless we take the time where we be quiet and we listen to all their stories. And so I guess my ask for you today is to take the time where you give the space. It's the good food, because they're getting the good food right now. I'm watching a couple that work here, and I don't know if it's romantic, but they might be cousins, or they're just having lunch together. I'll just show you where we are, because we're in the Toyabe means the mountains, and if you look at there's snow on the top there. It's beautiful. There's healing plants here. There's natural healing waters. It's called the artesian waters, and I think they were calling it Buckley Pond. There's the mountains, and everyone here hunts. They're all hunters. We had a whole group of hunters. A lot of deer. We have a lot of them fish. A lot of them provide for their families. And so anyway, I just showed you where we are. I'm not going to go outside because everyone's enjoying their lunch. And I had a lot of, Arlene just came. There's elders who are married in the Blackfeet tribe to the Racines. And I told them, hey, we're having graduation today. I got to take a picture with you because I'm going to ask all of the Racines, because a Blackfeet came down here and married in, and so they said, yeah, the Racines, and they had come to our reservation. And that's what happens. When we're healing the healers, we have to say our kinship. Who's married to who had a baby by who, and who met in Sherman, who met in Oklahoma at Haskell, who met a lot of at Chemawa, who met a lot of. That's our kinship. And that, I'm going to grab this water. That kinship is something that when you're healing the healers, they must understand the kinship. And again, with your water, always give a little drop to the ancestors. I learned that as a sun dancer, so I'm just going to say, Hayo Stbatipi, Hayo Ninda, Hayo Napi Natusi, Nagakimoka, Nagaspomoka, Spomokana, all the Paiute people. Spomokana, their bear dance that's coming up. They have these beautiful ceremonies here. And they get blessed by the bear dance. And I was telling them about, I got, she's a younger grizzly, 3 cubs hanging around my house in our area along the lake there at home. I've only seen one of the cubs, but I sleep so good because we have a treaty, and this is, like healing the healers. You need to see who you have a treaty with. You have treaties with humans. You have treaties with animals. You have treaties with medicine. You have treaties with water. You have treaties with air. You have treaties with the wind. You have treaties with the land. And you have treaties with each other, nation to nation. That's why Sixaketipi, it's, Sixakai Kainai, Abatsapikani, and Amskapi Pikani. The four of us, we take care of each other. And they try to split us apart, even by medicine line. They try to fragment us. Don't let them fragment you. And that was the big lesson of the 100 people sitting in the circle in here, is that they all are responsible for the mental health. All are responsible for the physical health, the emotional health, and the intellectual health. And they make this commitment, and they brought us here. And if you think about that, because that's a lot to carry, emotional health, emotional IQs, that intellectual health, about what you intellectually, what you learn. Shailene and I, we had a beautiful day, a beautiful drive from Reno down, and we had a dinner, and we both spontaneously, because we were hungry, we both wanted a really good cheeseburger. She doesn't put cheese on hers, but she puts bacon. So she had that. I've adopted her. She's Ani, but she just had that bacon on top of the meat with big old slices of onions and big old slices of tomato and great lettuce and a pickles, some real homemade pickles on a really nice, bun, soft. Anyway, we went and had a cheeseburger, but she don't have cheese on hers. And we had sweet potato fries, because that's my favorite. I only eat sweet potato fries. I don't eat anything white. I try to stay away from it. I only eat sourdough bread. But we were just visiting. And as we were visiting, I said, well, Shailene, tomorrow it's called Wellness in the Workplace. And when we get there, we'll see by who shows up. And that's what showed up today. And that's why I'm coming to you live on this podcast, is to talk about healing the healers. So let's start there. Healing the healers, in recovery, not everyone is working the 12 steps. But for those of you who work the 12 steps, read the promises on page 83 each day. But this is for anybody, when we get cautioned, like with HALT, don't be hungry, don't be angry, don't be lonely, don't be tired. Because if you're all four of those, you're going to relapse, eh? And then in our right now, so make sure that, that you're fed well. Make sure, I was thinking about that cheeseburger, and I was thinking about, my dad had, in our family, colon cancer. So we have to take care of our gut, with ginger shots, with turmeric shots, and then some of us have to take a generic Prilosec. I mean, so this hungry, don't be hungry. And now I'm thinking about, because I need some protein, and so I'm only gonna not be the full hour, because I need some time to eat before we gather again, all of us. But that angry, and so that's a big one. In healing the healers, if someone is bitching and complaining all the time and they're just kind of miserable to be around, it might be angry. It might be anger, and anger is hurt. I'll say that again. Anger is hurt. But when you have someone who's mouthing off and talking bad about people, or reacting, not responding, that often, hungry, angry, that anger. So how do you heal the healers? So how do you heal anger? One of, I loved, when I was doing my clinical work, I did a lot of it. And when I'm, sponsoring someone, I say, let's go for a walk. And when you start walking 20 minutes and talking to each other, like what's going on? What's going on, and walk for 20 minutes. At the end of that 20 minutes, you heal a lot, especially anger, especially frustration, especially anxiety, especially confusion, those kind of things. So that halt, there's healing the healers, that anger. And, and today I was being real appreciative. Oh, just so appreciative. Now, I'll just have to. I like this visual, and they're probably going to get me. Look at, he eats lunch and he takes a siesta. He's taking care of his mind, body, and spirit, right? He's taking a siesta. But that anger, Native Wellness Institute, in our healthy relationships, we deal with male masculinity and anger. A lot of our men, especially Gene Tagabon and Wade and Dwight, Casey Nicholson, and others we have a lot. They're helping men or healing men. And so, our youth camp is coming up at Grand Round. There'll be a lot of men healing men, boys. There'll be, and then we have Native Dads Network. Native Dads Network and Native Wellness Institute, we ally with each other. Sober fathers working with boys with braids. Sober fathers working their relationships out transparent, not hiding. Because when you hide your relationships like you used to hide your booze, it's probably not a healthy relationship. And so in the workplace, if you're hiding your relationship or your animosity or your lateral violence with each other, with purchase orders, our budgets, our emails. If you're fighting on email, that's pretty punk ass. Then that means that you're dealing with that hurt, you're dealing with that anger. So the anger, so to be healthier and to think about that, to processing it where you come to a place where there's serenity, where there's hope, where there's balance. That's a better way to deal with the anger. It might be physical. Someone keeps turning on the light here. Anyway, I'm moving here. I'll move over here. You might do it physical. The younger physical, it might be running. It might be Indian relay. It might be an extreme sport. It might be bike riding. It might be soccer. It might be in Canada. It might be hockey. But those are constructive ways of dealing with that feeling. Just to go out and walk. And I remember my Uncle Gerald, his Indian name, Old Voice, coming from Bill Russell on the Canadian side. He worked ER for 29 years. He's a combat vet from Vietnam, but he worked the ER, so he took care of everything that came into ER. But one of the things, and when he was alive, I realized I was one of his venters. He would just call me and say what happened. What's going on? So I would just let him talk. So but I remember this is what he used to do. He used to go up on top of Browning Hospital and yell like, "Ah! Ah!" He would just go and he would yell it out. And he'd say, I'd yell it out. There's so much noise. No one panicked. But people just say, oh, that's Coop. That's Coop. He's just yelling it out. He's getting rid of that anger. And then he said, then I'd come back down. I'd self-regulate. Because what you're hoping for is to self-regulate. He would self-regulate. And then he would go back and do his job. So think about when you're healing the healers, that hungry, we can take care of that with food, with good food. But this anger and these emotions, how do we take care of that? So the L, feeling lonely, the L. So let's talk about the L, feeling lonely. Shailene said something. I love how she facilitates. She has a different style, but I love it. And she said, "Have you ever been in a room full of people, but you still feel alone?" That's like a symptom of feeling lonely. That's where it's inside you. It's not because you have a room full of people to interact with. And Pat said to us, because he had that clapper that the 14-year-old gave us. He sang some songs. He sang a Journey song. He sang a song where we all love each other, where we never should be alone. That we have. Why should you be alone when there are others? And so even being that sanctified kindness, that lateral kindness, being with people and being kind to the person at the grocery store, in line at Costco, Gene. Being at the, if you travel, being kind to people, have your energy be kind. Last night, as I was going to sleep, and I was thinking about, my dad and how, he had colon cancer. And, I've had 5 colonoscopies, and so far they're clear. But I was thinking about that because I was thinking about my gut health. And so this is how I went to sleep as I was going to sleep. I was holding my medicines, and I was saying, "Theta, I love you. Theta, I love you. I really love my body. I love this body. I love you, my mind, for thinking. I love you, my tongue, for speaking. I love you, all the blood that runs. I love you, my heart. And then I love you, my kidneys. I love you, my liver. I love you, all of my uterus. I love my fallopian tubes. I love my I started talking to everything on my body, saying, I love you. Thank you for being good all these 70 years. I love my shoulders. I know you're getting older, but I love you. I love my knees. I know I got a titanium knee, but I love you while you did. I love all the muscles around. I love all the tendons. I love everything around this titanium. And then I said, I love you, my calves. I love you. I love you, my legs, for taking me places. I love you, my feet. And I started talking to, I love you, my big toe, for balancing me. I love you, my toes. And anyway, I'm just sharing with you. And man, I just went to peaceful sleep. Because in order to heal the healers, you have to get to a place where you do self-care, and you do self-care for this person first. So, and we've said it before, this feeling lonely. You might feel lonely if you have a caseload and you don't have friends. Okay, I'm saying it again. If you have a caseload and you need to develop some real friends that you give them as much as you get back from them. And so think about that you have real friends that you could just be. Like, I'm thinking just this evening, it's so beautiful here. And I just want to, spend some time with Shailene or others. We'll because everyone wants to talk to me. The badass auntie is here. I had to come on because some of the elders came over to give me a hug. They remembered Cecilia Fire Thunder. They remembered all of the healing we did. And so I triage my energy. So I didn't, diss that elder. I stopped and I spoke to her. I invited her. I said, I'm going to be here 3 days. I hugged her so hard. And I said, I want to spend some more time with you because I'm going to be here. I said, you can come in the workshop. And, and then I came to this space because it's quiet here. And they said I could do Wellness Wednesday here. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday with Native Wellness Institute. we're gonna be doing not the full hour because I got some time to eat, and we start up at 1. We've got 100 people waiting in the circle out here. So that halt, the last thing about feeling tired. If you feel tired, if you have compassion fatigue, if you have Zoom fatigue, if you have any of those fatigues that last, start the remedy. It was good for me to push the pause button, and I said, like, go to recess. But if you are tired, triage, make sure that you are comfortable. Like, I'm making sure I sleep good tonight. You know, I'm making sure, I just feel I feel like, I don't know, really happy. I'm happy. I know I'm going to sleep good tonight. And so you set your intentions. Well, I'm going to sleep good every night. But tonight, concentrate on this 24 hours. And if you feel tired, and put your shoulders, you know, like I was thinking, you know, because I'm always doing stuff like this, I pretend I have my kami poismanics on. I'm sitting up straight, and I say that all the time throughout the day. Pity me and help me. Help me have good energy today. Help my heart. Help my blood flow. And so that I go out and that I bring fun, that I bring healing, and that I tell stories that help people heal the healers. And so I make that prayer, and then I feel good, and I open up the door, and I get out there, and that's what I do. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. We come here, again, it's positive, productive, and proactive stuff. And I'm just going to make it a short one for Wellness Wednesday today. But remember that halt. Don't be hungry, don't be angry, don't be lonely, and don't be tired. And we'll come to you next week. Well, we're having an election June 2nd. Please vote wherever you are. Vote, 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 vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but that's your healing, who you choose to vote for. And then we'll be coming to you on June 3rd. I might be up in Alberta. There's some stuff going on. I might not. But so welcome to Wellness Wednesday. We're going to be short today because we're providing a training. And I'm going to go back in there and get a little bit of sustenance. And Native Wellness Institute, our next big, we have 6 trainings this week. www.Native Wellness Institute. And you can ask for any of us. If you want me to come out, if you want Shailene to come out, if you want Lori Newbreast to come out, if you want Casey Nicholson to come out, if you want Wade McGee to come out, if you want Jolene, if you want Dwight Francisco, if you want Aurora Mamea, I'll just throw out some names. Or you want a combination of us. If you want, we have the Gathering of Native Americans TOT that's coming up. We have the Healthy Relationship TOT that's coming up. We have the Youth Camp at Ground Round. That's in a couple of weeks. Please come. And we're going into ceremony time, so we're really going to respect ceremonies, but I'll see you every Wednesday. I'm getting ready. Russell Kitson, say prayers for the Yellow Kidney Bundle. They'll be preparing on our res. They're getting ready for the Okon on the Montana side and the Okon at Kainai, the Okon at Batsapikani, the Okon at Siksikai. We have a lot of ceremony coming up. So that's our summer. And I'm just totally excited because when Indians are praying, everything's going to be okay. When Indians are lighting a smudge, everything's going to be okay. When Indians are singing the songs, everything's going to be okay. And when you're listening to your elders, everything's going to be okay. When you're taking care of the new babies and giving them a name and putting them in a cradle board and giving them their beaded moccasins and singing lullabies, everything's going to be okay. So with that, everything is going to be okay. Like, la, 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 it's going to be okay. So I'll see you next Wednesday.